Greetings, proteges, and welcome to Professor Providence. Now today, this video is going to be about mental slavery and how to escape it. You see, many of us around the world, we can't understand what we are enslaved to because we don't want to admit it. But the first part, the first step of escaping that mental slavery is recognizing what you are enslaved to. Now, it is important that we do not judge ourselves. It is important that we do not look down at ourselves because we are all unique and we are all beautiful. We are all kind and loving and caring. It's just this particular thing that enslaves us is what causes us to doubt ourselves. That way we cannot become our greatest version. Now today, I'm going to show you how to recognize what you are enslaved to. But first, I would like to tell all of you what I was enslaved to before I give the advice. So, 3 things that I was enslaved to. First, I had to recognize what they were in my everyday life. So, the first thing that I was enslaved to was sugar. I loved eating sugar. Sugar made me feel so good. I loved eating sweet things like ice cream, cakes, cupcakes, pancakes, all kinds of cakes. I also enjoyed drinking coffee, and I loved eating donuts, and I loved eating Twinkies because it was a temporary getaway from escaping and to escape all of my problems. So that is what I was enslaved to at first, and it was because I enjoyed eating junk food all the time. I mean, who doesn't like junk food? And it is alright because I wanted to eat all of that junk food. I admitted to myself that I loved eating junk food. So I just admitted it to myself, and I just said, I love eating junk food. That was my first step to realizing that I was enslaved to it. And this was my confirmation to recognize that I was enslaved to it. I used to get withdrawal symptoms when I didn't have junk food. If I didn't have it, I would get headaches, I would feel nauseous, and I would feel angry. And I asked myself, why am I feeling all of these emotions? Why am I feeling all of these uncomfortabilities? Why am I feeling all of this discomfort? And it was because I was depending on junk food. So that's when I realized that I had to make a change in my life. So to beat this junk food addiction, I had to write down all the junk foods that I was addicted to. Things like cupcakes, ice cream, sugary pancakes, sugary foods, candy, all this stuff. My personal favorite was ice cream. I love ice cream. So I had to admit that to myself. So I wrote down all of those things. And the first step I did was I slowly sacrificed them. Not completely, I just slowly sacrificed them. So instead of eating junk food every single day, what I did was I started to eat junk food instead of 7 days a week, 6 days a week. And then I slowly burned them off. So I tried eating junk food 6 days a week, and the 7th day I wouldn't eat junk food. And I would try this technique for 3 weeks. So every 3 weeks I would drop a day to where I was eating no junk food. So after the first 3 weeks, I went to eating junk food 5 days a week. And then after those 3 weeks, I would jump the junk food to 4 days a week. And then after those 3 weeks, I would drop it to 3 days a week. Like, you're starting to see the pattern here. So after that, it kept getting slower and slower and slower. And my dependency decreased drastically. It was a miracle. So that was the first thing I did. Now, the second addiction that I had, I was addicted to eating fast food. I was mentally enslaved to fast food. I didn't like to eat healthy foods. I didn't like eating things like kale, spinach, quinoa, pineapples, green beans, beets. I didn't like eating all of those because it didn't give me essentially an adrenaline rush the way that fast food gave me. Because when I eat fast food, it always makes me feel good. It always makes me feel comfortable. It always gave me an adrenaline rush. I wanted more. So I applied the same technique for the fast food. Some of my favorite fast food restaurants were McDonald's, Wendy's, Pizza Hut. I'm a huge Pizza Hut fan. Or Moe's, or Chinese food, or Burger King, KFC. All of these fast food restaurants I was addicted to because I love the taste. I love the grease and the high calories. It makes me feel good. And there's no judgments here. Who doesn't like these foods? Comfort foods is what keeps us going, it's what keeps us alive, it's what keeps us happy temporarily. But in order to recognize that I was mentally enslaved to it, I had to admit that I preferred eating these foods all of the time. So that's what I recommend all of you do. You recognize what you're addicted to and write all of them down, and then slowly get rid of them. Temporarily, that is. And then if you want, you can reward yourself with it. Just as long as it pushes you towards the goal you're trying to reach. Now, the third thing that I was addicted to was swiping on Tinder. I loved swiping on Tinder because I just loved seeing all of these options that I had on Tinder. It was beautiful and it was amazing because Tinder in a way is a beautiful portal. Now it doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman. As you swipe right or as you swipe left, you are literally, the universe is giving you all of these beautiful souls that you can connect with. All of these souls that you can talk to. All of these souls that you can communicate with, whether it be male or female. And in a sense, you can increase the probability of attracting someone that you might vibe with. And I found out recently that Tinder has these new things called vibes. It's where you can match the vibes that you're feeling temporarily so that you can get a possible match a lot faster. So before this vibes was advertised in the Tinder algorithm, I was addicted to swiping on Tinder because I liked seeing beautiful women all the time. And I had to admit that to myself. I did this when I was bored, when I had nothing to do, or after I got home from work, or after I watched TV or YouTube. I would go on Tinder. But every time I went on Tinder, I would be on Tinder for like maybe 30 minutes, 45 minutes just swiping, because I didn't find anything better to do. So in a way, it was my escape as well, because I loved seeing all of these beautiful women. order for me to recognize this mental enslavement, I had to recognize how long I spent on Tinder. And it was 35 to 40 minutes. So all I tried an experiment, was I slowly swiped less. So instead of 35 minutes, I swiped for 30 minutes for 3 weeks. And then after those 3 weeks, I swiped for 25 minutes. I kept decreasing 5 minutes. And then eventually, I started swiping for only 10 minutes because I wanted to do something better with my life. So those are the 3 things that I was addicted to. And now I am no longer addicted to those 3 things because I am taking my power back and I'm using that energy to fulfill my mission and to fulfill my purpose and to better myself. And I encourage you, students, to do the same thing. So these are the techniques that you could use to recognize what you're mentally enslaved to. And then you could use this magical 3-week technique to slowly get it out of your psyche, because once you slowly get something out of your psyche, after you take the first step of admitting it, you can then heal. And you don't have to depend on it as much. And you can come up with better options and better possibilities to better your life. So this is it. We're out here in Providence. The universe is speaking to you. Thank you all, my students, for joining me in this wonderful episode of Professor Providence. Take care, my fellow starseeds. Until next time, until next communion, adieu.